Origins of an obsession. From the passenger seat of a battered Chevy Blazer, an adopted kid sketched the blueprint of a $2 trillion empire. In 1994, somewhere on a long American highway, a business plan was being typed at highway speed. 3 decades later, that plan would evolve into a company generating over $1.2 million every minute. No flashy ads, no viral gimmicks, just a ruthless strategy that conquered retail, dominated the cloud, and quietly entered your living room. And just as regulators finally closed in, its creator stepped back into the shadows. Albuquerque, 1964. Inside a small hospital room, a baby was born who would one day make midnight purchases effortless. 600 glow-in-the-dark garden gnomes. One click, no hesitation. His last name wasn't Bezos yet. That came later. His mother, Jackie, was a teenage secretary trying to survive adulthood early. His biological father, a circus performer, disappeared before the child could even form his first words. But fate rewrites stories in strange ways. A few years later, Jackie married a Cuban immigrant named Miguel or Mike Bezos. He adopted the boy, gave him his name, and unknowingly set the foundation for a global empire. From an early age, Jeff stood apart. Straight A's came easily, but his mind often drifted upward toward stars, rockets, and life beyond Earth. At his high school graduation, he spoke openly about building space hotels and amusement parks in orbit. The audience applauded politely, unsure whether they'd just witnessed vision or madness. Princeton came next. Jeff double-majored in electrical engineering and computer science, refusing to choose a single path to mastery. He graduated at the top of his class, brilliant, intense, socially unconventional, a mind fueled by logic, caffeine, and a level of ambition that made people uncomfortable. Charming in his own way, like a robot that somehow learned sarcasm. After college, Jeff followed the expected route of elite talent in the early 90s. High-paying jobs, prestigious firms, predictable success. Bankers Trust, a failed telecom venture, then D.E. Shaw, a secretive Wall Street hedge fund known for recruiting intellectual outliers. Jeff rose fast. By 30, he was a senior vice president working directly under David Shaw, a man who treated financial markets like multi-dimensional chess. It was there that Jeff met Mackenzie Tuttle, sharp, thoughtful, and apparently unfazed by a man who found spreadsheets romantic. They got engaged just 3 months after meeting. Then everything changed because of a single statistic. The internet was growing at 2,300% per year. This wasn't hype, this was gravity. Jeff didn't hesitate. He built a spreadsheet, 20 online business ideas, music, clothes, pet food, but one category kept rising to the top: books. Millions of titles, easy storage, standardized inventory. Books weren't the end game, they were the gateway. As Bezos would later describe them, the perfect entry drug for e-commerce. The problem was, Jeff already had it all: money, respect, a powerful job. When he told his boss he planned to quit and sell books online, the response was brutal honesty. Sounds like a great idea for someone who already has a good job. Jeff walked out anyway. He sold everything. Convincing Mackenzie to quit her job, they packed up and drove from New York to Seattle in a beat-up Chevy Blazer. While she drove, Jeff typed. Somewhere along Interstate 80, between cornfields, truck stops, and endless asphalt, the future of global commerce was written in bullet points. The company nearly had a different name. First, Cadabra, until a lawyer misheard it as Cadaver. Then Relentless, a name Jeff loved so much he bought the domain. It still redirects to Amazon. Finally, he chose Amazon, because it started with A, because it was the biggest river in the world, and because Jeff didn't want a bookstore, he wanted the everything store. There was no AWS, no Prime, no Alexa. Just a garage, a fax machine, a door turned into a desk, and a laugh described by friends as a hyena on nitrous oxide. What no one realized, not even Jeff, was that this wasn't a startup. It was the opening move in a 30-year siege on retail, logistics, and cloud computing. The birth of the everything store. Summer 1994. Amazon officially launched with $10,000 from Jeff's parents, money taken straight from their retirement savings. Frugality became religion. Door desks symbolized the philosophy. Every dollar saved was fuel for growth. In July 1995, the website went live. The first purchase? A dense AI textbook. Not glamorous, but historic. Orders followed, then exploded. Jeff rang a bell for every sale, until it rang so often they had to stop. Within weeks, customers from all 50 states and over 40 countries were buying. Amazon wasn't selling products, it was selling time. The rule was simple: grow fast or die. Mistakes were constant. Listings glitched. A textbook once appeared for $23 million, but perfection didn't matter. Speed did. In 1997, Amazon went public, still unprofitable, deeply misunderstood. Analysts mocked it. One famously called it Amazon.toast. Jeff ignored them. He told investors to think long-term. Those who listened would be rewarded beyond imagination. Then came the move that changed everything: customer reviews. Letting users criticize products on your own site sounded insane, but transparency built trust. Trust built loyalty, and loyalty built dominance. Amazon expanded relentlessly. Books, music, movies, toys, electronics. By the late 90s, it wasn't a store anymore, it was infrastructure. In 2000, Jeff made another controversial move: Amazon Marketplace. He invited third-party sellers to compete on his own platform. Why? Data. Amazon didn't just sell products, it studied behavior. Then came acquisitions: Audible, Zappos, analytics firms, robotics companies. Every piece designed to control how things were sold, shipped, and reviewed. Then the crash. March 2000. The dot-com bubble burst. Amazon's stock fell from $100 to $6. Headlines predicted bankruptcy. Inside Amazon, panic spread. Jeff didn't panic. He cut ruthlessly. Burn rate, teams, projects. The door desk stayed, but experimentation stopped. Most dot-coms died. Amazon survived, and survival hardened it. Rise of the Terminator CEO. Post-crash, Jeff became obsessed with one thing: never being vulnerable again. Warehouses rose across America: robots, conveyors, scanners, algorithms tracking every second. This wasn't retail, it was logistics warfare. Then came Amazon Prime. 2-day shipping, unlimited, no minimums. Competitors laughed. Analysts predicted disaster. They were wrong. Prime wasn't convenience, it was conditioning. Customers bought more, stopped comparing prices, stopped leaving. In 2007, Amazon released the Kindle. Books became digital overnight. Bookstores vanished, publishing collapsed. But the real revolution was invisible. Amazon's internal infrastructure became AWS. By 2006, Amazon was powering Netflix, NASA, the CIA, even competitors. While rivals fought Amazon, they unknowingly paid it rent. Amazon didn't just sell products, it built the backbone of the internet. Controversy followed. Sellers accused Amazon of cloning successful products using internal data. Amazon denied it. Retail giants fell one by one. Borders, Toys R Us, Circuit City. Inside Amazon, emotion was banned, PowerPoint forbidden, 6-page memos ruled. Good intentions don't work, mechanisms do. Amazon became a machine. The empire beyond Earth. By the late 2010s, Bezos wasn't just rich, he was geopolitical. Bald, built, silent confidence. Whole Foods, media, healthcare, smart homes, entertainment. Then scrutiny. Warehouse conditions, surveillance, regulation. In 2020, Bezos testified before Congress. In 2021, he stepped down. No drama, just exit. And returned to his original obsession: space. Blue Origin, rockets, habitats, industry off Earth. Amazon was never the destination, it was the launch pad. The kid who stared at stars never stopped. This isn't the end, it's where the story finally escapes gravity.
Jeff Bezos' story doesn't end with a resignation letter or a balance sheet. It ends with a pattern, one that explains not just how Amazon was built, but how modern power itself now works. What began as a curious, adopted kid staring at the night sky became an architect of systems so efficient they feel invisible, yet so dominant they are unavoidable. Bezos didn't chase trends or applause. He chased leverage, points in the system where small decisions could create irreversible momentum. At every stage, his obsession followed the same logic. Start with fundamentals, choose scale over comfort, sacrifice short-term approval for long-term control. Books weren't chosen because they were glamorous, but because they were structurally perfect. Prime wasn't designed to please customers. It was designed to reshape behavior. AWS wasn't launched to dominate the internet. It emerged because Amazon refused to let infrastructure become a bottleneck. Over time, these decisions compounded into something far larger than a company. They became architecture. What makes Bezos unsettling to critics and fascinating to analysts isn't cruelty or charisma, it's consistency. Amazon didn't win by being loved, it won by being unavoidable. By the time competitors recognized the threat, they were already dependent on Amazon's logistics, cloud services, or marketplace traffic. Even governments struggled to respond because Amazon didn't break systems, it replaced them with better ones, faster ones, cheaper ones, systems that worked whether people liked them or not. And yet, Bezos himself never seemed emotionally attached to Amazon in the way founders often are. The Everything Store was not a monument to ego, it was a proof of concept, a demonstration that large, messy human industries could be rebuilt like software, modular, scalable, optimized. Once that proof was complete, he stepped aside, not in defeat, in completion. His pivot to space is not a midlife crisis or a vanity project. It is the most logical continuation of the obsession that started in childhood. If Earth is a system with limits, then Bezos has always been the kind of thinker who looks for the next system entirely. Space to him isn't science fiction, it's logistics at planetary scale. Energy, manufacturing, infrastructure. The same problems, just without gravity. Whether history judges Bezos as a visionary or a warning remains unresolved. Amazon has delivered unprecedented convenience while raising serious questions about labor, competition, and corporate power. Both truths exist simultaneously. That tension may ultimately define his legacy more than his wealth ever could. But one thing is undeniable. Jeff Bezos changed the default settings of modern life. How we shop, how we wait, how fast we expect the world to respond to us. And once expectations change, there is no going back.